Welcome to Weather to Watch. I'm meteorologist Ted Keller. We'll start with our visible satellite loop. I always record this in the late afternoon, on the verge of early evening. And of course, with the time change now, we are seeing the sweep of sunset from New England into the Great Plains. And just so you know, this is a College of DuPage product, wonderful products they produce up there. And so what happens is this is visible satellite on this side where there is still sunlight. So how do we get the clouds over here? Well, this is IR satellite, infrared satellite. And so this is inferring clouds by looking at temperature changes with the idea that the higher the cloud is, the colder it is on the IR radiation. So that's how you get clouds at night. Do a quick little lesson there. Anyway, it's interesting though, because on visible satellite, you see all the little details, and a lot of that is lost on the IR, but you do gain a little bit on the IR because if it's a thunderstorm situation, you get to see the tops of those a lot cleaner in IR, especially if I were to turn the color option on. Anyway, so what's going on? We definitely have three areas of weather. Here in the northeast is fairly interesting weather. I'll show you that. A little wave right here, and also a little bit of an atmospheric river going on in the northwest. That's going to continue for quite some time. We'll take a look at the 500 millibar flow overlaid on top of that. And we are definitely getting into the cooler season now. One indicator of that is that the upper level winds, this is about 18,000 feet up, 500 millibars. And so these red lines, the closer they are together, the faster the wind speeds. And these are definitely packed much closer together this time of year than they would, let's say, in August or any time over the summer. And then we have these various storms. There's one right here, trough of low pressure at that level. Another one kind of reinforcing that there. A little tiny what we call wave in the atmosphere. You can see the comma shape to that one there in the clouds. And then offshore, well offshore, there is a deeper trough and then a little disturbance coming in. And I'll show you the effect of that right now. We have one area of low pressure that is off the eastern coast. We have a high pressure bisected by a weak cool front that's not really doing much else to really cool things down, at least not in this part of the frontal system. This part will. And then we have this, as I was saying, we have this low right offshore off the boundary there between California and Oregon. Let's just take a tour here. And this is just wind flow with isobars, and then these are temperatures taken. So on the East Coast, this probably would have been about 5 o'clock or so when these readings are valid. And these are model temperatures, so they're not going to be exact. So, but the models are pretty close this time. this era. The computer models are doing pretty well with estimating things. Anyway, you're looking at 50s. Mostly through New England in the east with a little bit of a ribbon of 60s out ahead of that. And there's that area of low pressure sitting off the coast. If we change our attention to the southern plains, that front is right through here. You can see the kink in the isobars with a little cell of high pressure down here and another one up here. Again, this front's in this part of its movement is done about all it's going to do. And there's already return flow here with temperatures in the 70s and even 80s through parts of Texas. So very common. You have warming on this side of the high, and still cooler winds blowing from land to ocean over the Gulf there. So that's offshore flow for them, in case you're keeping score. And then if we go to the northwestern U.S., we have that pretty intense little low again off the California-Oregon coast. Temperatures in the 40s and 50s through much of the northwest, warming to the 60s and 70s through parts of Nevada, Utah, and into the interior valleys, I should say, of California. We'll take a radar tour here. This is the northeast, so we have bands of showers associated with an upper-level trough that's moving into that area. It's not real heavy rain, but it's not moving real fast either, so it is adding up in a few places. And the only other significant rain is in the northwest. This will be snow in the higher elevations. And so that's kind of a wrap of the country. Generally speaking, it's pretty quiet, which is, compared to Cat 5 plus hurricanes and deep areas of low pressure in the southeast, I would take this any day. So here is the temperature forecast for the next couple of days. We continue our very much above normal pattern. So what you're seeing here, these deep reds are readings that are 15, 18 degrees above the normal high temperatures for these locations. So you're seeing mid 70s, close to 80, if not in the 80s, through parts of eastern Colorado, western Kansas, northward to around Rapid City. A little cool on the coast there. And this is, the effects of the rain and the cloud cover, of course, and those upper level storms. This is for tomorrow, Tuesday. Thursday, it really just kind of spreads to the east a little bit, while much of New England and the middle Atlantic cools down a little bit more. And the west is on average about normal, give or take. And then we head to Saturday, and the northern plains are seeing some cooler air finally, with that green shading indicating about 2 to 6 degrees below normal. Still pretty warm in Texas for this time of year. Much of the country pretty close to normal, really. And so if we look beyond Saturday and we look at the Sunday through Thursday forecast, this is issued by the Climate Center, and they're looking at a high confidence of it being much above normal in the Four Corners region, and the eastern, let's say 1/3 of the country, looks like it's going to be below normal. Well, precipitation-wise, again, I showed you that rain in the northeast. That is a persistent pattern that will be backed up by little disturbances coming around an upper-level ridge this week, and they'll just kind of drape their way through the northeast. So while each one of them probably won't produce a lot of rain, remember this is a 5-day accumulation. So we're looking at some readings up here, 1 to 2 inch readings in parts of New Hampshire, Vermont, upstate New York, maybe parts of Ohio too. Could there be enough cold air behind this for some of this to be snow later on? Yeah. It's a possibility, a few flurries in the air. Not a storm. I don't see anything that's a traditional snowstorm east of the Rockies. Nothing like that really at all showing up yet. And then you can clearly see that there's heavier rains forecast from Northern California due north, with those yellows indicating 4 to 6 inches of liquid precipitation, and some snow, of course, will be in with that in the higher elevations. As far as the precipitation forecast is concerned, it looks pretty dry, high confidence of dry weather through the plains, with the epicenter of that around Texas, West Texas, and perhaps a lot wetter in California, Oregon, and Washington. Again, this is the period Sunday through Thursday. A very persistent jet stream pattern coming ashore, which is not uncommon as we get into the winter months in that part of the world. It really brings them the bulk of their precipitation, starting a little early perhaps, but that's exactly what's happening in the western U.S. Thanks for watching this edition of Weather to Watch. It comes out every other day, or as the weather necessitates. Please remember to share this with your friends, subscribe to the channel, or at the very least, like what you just watched. Thanks.